Hello and welcome to another subscription recap. This time, The Locked Library 2024. Let's do it. So this is my second year of having the Locked Library subscription box, and 2024 was my last. For reasons that I have covered in previous videos, namely the video that I did on whether the book boxes were worth it or not, and you can find that somewhere up here. But this is my last year of the Locked Library, so let's recap the books. So the January theme was Ex Libris, and this was they were going to do this once every year, and that is something from the archive collection, but I think they just shoehorned that theme in and that reasoning just so that they could get a special edition of their own of Babel by R.F. Kuang, because every man and their dog in 2023 when this came out had a special edition of this book. Illumicrate did one. Lots of other ones that I can't remember because this book was never on my radar. They really outdid themselves on the artwork for this. This is the cover for it. It is the only Locked Library book not to come with its own dust jacket. It is just the hardcover. But I adore this cover. It's so... every little bit of this cover is utilised. So although it is black, it has the silver foiling around the edges, it has the gold foiling around the window, it has the picture of Oxford itself. It is just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It does come with the standard Locked Library spine. These do not change. They all have the key in the middle. They all line up perfectly. They really have spared no expense with this edition. I feel that they really wanted to push the subscription box with this one, because they even have gold foiling to match the front and even on the back. So you've got every square inch of it is full. So you've got the silver foiling around here. You've got gold foiling lettering which says, "Robin leaned back on his elbows, turning his gaze to the city. Professor Lovell was right, he thought. This was the loveliest place on earth." And you've even got the dreaded barcode on the back that I hate it having the barcode on there. I hate having the barcode on the books. I think it really if it didn't have that, it would... A special edition book in a special edition book box does not need a barcode. The Locked Library are the only ones that do it, and for the life of me, I can't understand why. But then we get onto the sprayed edges. So we do have blank black edges there and there, but my, do they knock it out of the park for the normal sprayed edge. The level of detail that's in this is amazing. So beautiful. And inside, if you have watched my previous video for a recap of the Locked Library 2023, you will know that one of my main gripes is that they didn't... I think only 3 books out of the year had any end paper artwork. Most of them were blank colours, and at least one of them was just blank white. It's just lazy. But for this one, we do have a wonderful artwork piece with the Oxford skyline and the Ex Libris on here, which of course could have held the author's signature if the Locked Library actually did author signed books, which they don't. But it does have an author letter, which is not the same thing, and it's the same artwork on the back as it is at the front, just without the Ex Libris square on it. But they really did pull all out for this edition, and I think it's because it was such a popular book before they even went to print for this one, because the other editions were all back when it first released. but so pretty. For a change with the Locked Library, if you've seen my previous video, and I'm sure I'm going to be alluding to it in this one, because the Locked Library is owned by HarperCollins, the publishing house, their covers of their special editions usually, apart from some foiling, are not that different to what the normal everyday publicised covers are. Now with Babel, because so many book boxes got hold of it, or so many special editions were made of it, there are so many different covers. So we have a cover like this one, which has Oxford in the background and Babel straight down the middle of the page. And we have this one down here, which has the tower on the cover. And this one, which of course is the window out of the school. 3 completely different covers. Let me know what you think is your favourite down in the comments below. Now, because it doesn't have a dust jacket, I am going to have to read from Goodreads what the blurb is for it, because it doesn't have one on the inside anywhere. So the blurb is 1828. Robin Swift, orphaned by cholera in... it's so far away. In Canton, is brought to London by the mysterious Professor Lovell. There he trains for years in Latin, ancient Greek and Chinese, all in preparation for the day he'll enrol in Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, also known as Babel. The Tower and its students are the world's centre for translation and, more importantly, magic. Silverworking, the art of manifesting the meaning lost in translation using enchanted silver bars, has made the British unparalleled in power, as the arcane craft serves the Empire's quest for colonisation. For Robin, Oxford is a utopia dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge, but knowledge obeys power. And as a Chinese boy raised in Britain, Robin realises serving Babel means betraying his motherland. As his studies progress, Robin finds himself caught between Babel and the shadowy Hermes Society, an organisation dedicated to stopping imperial expansion. When Britain pursues an unjust war with China over silver and opium, Robin must decide. Can powerful institutions be changed from within, or does revolution always require violence? So this is a standalone historical adult fantasy. It's rare for the Locked Library to actually do an adult book, but with this I think they just wanted to jump on the bandwagon with their own special edition. The book itself has an average rating on Goodreads at the time of recording this video of 4.1, so my expectations are so high. With all the hype that was about it, I just missed it because I was just getting into Bookstagram and BookTok and all that. My YouTube channel really wasn't quite bookish. It was dealing with the original fairy tales but not primarily with books, so I missed the whole hype thing about it. Babel special editions on eBay, so we are going to go through the resale value of these books one by one. And as you can imagine with a very popular book, the resale value of this is a lot more than the box actually cost. So the Locked Library box cost £25. It's not that bad. This edition of Babel is reselling on eBay from anywhere from £70 to £150. Just blows my mind. It really does. I mean, I get the supply and demand, and I have been a victim of my own fear of missing out of a book and paying extortionate rates, which we'll come to, but it won't be in this video. 70 to 150 quid for a £25 book. Wow. But it is gorgeous. So February's theme was Against the Tide, and that month's offering was Compass and Blade by Rachel Greenlaw. And the cover, so nice. It's just black and white with a bit of blue foiling, but I think it works really well. I don't like praise for the book on the dust jacket. I don't even like it on the back. And I hate it when it's on the front because I don't see the point of it. I don't like it. It's a very nice dust jacket. And it continues, so the artwork from this continues around the spine to the back, where we have the dreaded barcode, but they've even managed to try and slot it into the artwork. Look at this. Shoehorning it in there. Absolutely determined. But it does have praise for the book, which is all what this is. Better on the back than the front if they're going to have it anywhere. But the sprayed edges are a block colour, and then we have this. Now, I don't know whether you can tell from the camera on here, but this is hella blurry. And it looks a bit pixelated to my mind. So we have the ship on the sea and the clouds above, but I'm not so keen. And the naked hardcover is this, and it is just a feast for the eyes. It's so shiny, I'm like a magpie. The hardcover is bright blue and the foiling is all silver, which, it looks better on an angle than it does like that. But there's so much, so busy, so busy. Looks more dramatic face to front. But we have the usual Locked Library spine. And as usual, nothing on the hard. But inside, we do actually have some artwork. So at least it's not a blank block colour. And it's the same artwork on the back. This is the first book in a series of the same name. The second book hasn't been released yet, and I'm not sure of the title. The title hasn't been released yet. And this is a young adult fantasy novel. So, let's get into the blurb. Mira is a wrecker, one of the 7 chosen to swim out and plunder the wrecked ships beyond the Isle of Rosavir. The waves sing to her soul, the call of the sea beckoning her into deeper waters. But Rosavir needs her, and she could never abandon her home. Until one evening when lightning splits the sky and the watch descend, taking Mira's father away. Mira must set off on a journey to win back her father's freedom. She will encounter 2 strangers along the way, enigmatic Seth and smouldering Elijah. And learning who to trust will not be easy. When she discovers a dark family secret buried deep in the ocean, Mira finds that securing her future and that of her island will come at a high price. It reads like young adult, and the text is big. It's big. Now, this has an average rating of 3.3 on Goodreads, so it's sort of a very mixed bag when you read the reviews of it. And it is selling on eBay from anywhere from £20 to £40, which is the usual, that is the usual boundary of selling Locked Library books, unless you get a viral one. So the resale value on Locked Library books, unless you do get a viral book like Babel or When the Moon Hatched, it's not going to make you money if you just buy the subscription box to resell. It's not going to make you that much. There's really no point in doing it. And I forgot to compare the covers. So this is the Locked Library cover, the black, the white, the blue. This is one of the covers up here, extremely different as you could see. But this is the normal hardcover, and as you can see, it is more exactly the same, except this one has colour. It has the sunset, whereas this, the sunset is just white. It is just black and white. Now I'm between the two. I alternate to which I prefer, whether I prefer the one with the colour in it or the one that is just black and white. At the minute, I'm preferring the one that is just black and white, but let me know what you think. Now, the theme for March was Her Heavenly Heretic, which didn't give us much to work with when finding out what book it was. The book that we got was What Monstrous Gods by Rosamund Hodge. And the cover, it's just so pretty. I'm going to say pretty a lot in this video. It's a dark purple with a golden rose and golden foiling on the back. And what it says at the top is, her destiny was to kill him. He'll haunt her even in death. But it is very, very pretty on this dust jacket. I will, in my other review videos of the subscription boxes, I will be mentioning the artists, but nowhere on the Lock Library website or any of their socials, or even inside the books themselves, can I find the names of who did the dust jacket, the foiling, the edges, and I think that's because it's a publishing house and it's all done in-house. But for me, I think they should still get the credit, and it does have on here. I know there's a little bit of damage up here, but it came like that. And on the back, without that, it's very, very nice and very, very pretty. And it says, 7 girls they had sent, and none ever returned. The 8th girl is me. The edges are a block purple and a block purple, and the rose that matches the cover on the edge, and I think that is done wonderfully. It's all in the middle, it's all aligned, it is beautiful. So very, very beautiful. The naked hardcover is again purple, and we do have the rose featuring again. So it's on the dust jacket, it's on the edge, it's on the foiling, it's everywhere. Was there nothing else to use? That it has to be the same motif on all 3? Come on now. But maybe I'm being a bit too, you know, nitpicky. But it does have the standard Lock Library thing on the back. And nothing. But inside we do have artwork, although it is more like the wallpaper. Although we do have... It's not foiling, but it is sort of sprayed. And it's the same on the back. So What Monstrous Gods is a standalone YA fantasy novel. Most of the Lock Library offerings are young adult. And that's one of the reasons why I stopped getting their subscription, because it was a whole thing. They were marketing things as adult and they weren't, and just to say that they were, there's just don't. It annoyed me. Among many, many things this year, it annoyed me. But let's get into the blurb. Centuries ago, the heretic sorcerer Reuven raised a deadly briar around Runakia's palace, casting the royal family into an enchanted sleep and silencing the kingdom's gods. Born with a miraculous gift, Leah's destiny is to kill Reuven and wake the royals. But when she succeeds, she finds her duty not yet complete. For now she must marry into the royal family and forge a pact with a god or die. To make matters even worse, Reuven's spirit is haunting her. A rich and romantic reimagining of the Sleeping Beauty fairy tale, perfect for fans of these violent delights and the Shadow Queen. YA doing fairy tale reimaginings or retellings or whatever the hell they want to call them, most of them fall flat on their face. So I am a bit apprehensive of starting this. The average rating for this on Goodreads is 3.3. So it is middle of the road. And this again is selling anywhere from £20 to £40 over on eBay if you want to go grab yourself a beautiful copy of this book. Now the theme for April was Silken Secrets. Ooh. And the offering was The Silence Factory by Bridget Collins. It is the first cover in 2024 that does not have any gold foiling on the back. This is not foiling, it is just gold lettering. I'll bring it closer so you can see what I'm on about. But it's a full cover, and the only sort of gold foiling are these little tiny gold spiders that you really, really have to squint to have a look. And it has the blue, very different to what the other spines have looked like. So we usually get a bit of foiling, a bit of artwork. This is completely different to the rest of them. And on the back is this. Now, yes, there is artwork on the back and one piece of praise for the book. Now, the reason why I'll say that this is although the cover is very, very busy, which it is a very, very full back and front cover. The reason I'm saying that this cover is lazy is because this is the normal cover. And you say, oh, but it's different. Is it? Is it though? This is the back. That's the front. And on the back of that one is this. Lazy. And to think we wouldn't notice. But the sprayed edges are a block blue and a block blue. They are the same shade, although it does look a little bit different. And a very busy ferny flower with, I don't know whether you can see that or not, there are little tiny spiders a little bit. But it's not popping for me. It seems a bit, I mean, don't get me wrong, it is very, very pretty, but it could have been brighter. You know, like the flower could have been a bit brighter, the spiders a bit brighter, even if you wanted the rest of it to look dull. So the foiling, the book itself is a black hardcover with gold foiling, and the foiling does, it could have been a bit bigger, but it does take up most of the cover. And it is completely different to the dust jacket. So with it being, there's a gate and like a statue of a lady here. I'll tell you, it's a statue of a lady here, big wrought iron gate, birds, trees. Why this gate, if it's important enough to be on the foiling of the story, then why could it not be on the front cover and thus make it different to the normal everyday cover? It could have been some. But you get the general Lock Library spine, as you normally do. They do all line up with all the keys in a line, which is good. And at this point, is there any reason to turn it around? And inside, considering what artwork we have had, this is what we get with this one. Literal wallpaper with a spider web. I would say that they're being ironic or amusing, but I think this is done on purpose to be arty, and it just falls a bit flat because you have all this space to work with. And one of my complaints or gripes or whatever you want to call it from last year is that most of the books, if it wasn't block colour, it looked like wallpaper. And here they are with it looking like wallpaper with the addition of spiderwebs too. Now this is a standalone novel. It is marketed as historical fantasy and it has an average rating of 3.4 on Goodreads. So I'm kind of in the middle. A few booktubers that I saw were praising this book, not this particular edition, but this book as being quite good. So I am looking forward to getting started on it. This is selling on eBay from anywhere from £15 to £35. So that is even more in the mark of where the box cost is, because the box of course costs £25 altogether. But yeah, it's got perhaps the fullest cover, but also the laziest. I forgot the blurb, so we'll do that right now. Henry dreams of silence. Don't we all? A world without the clattering of carriages through cobbled streets, the distant cries of drunken brawls, the relentless ticking of the clock. Then he meets a fascinating, mysterious gentleman who sells just that. Precious silk that can drown out the clamour of the world, and everything Henry is so desperate to escape. Summoned to Sir Edward's secluded factory to try to cure his young daughter's deafness, Henry is soon drawn deeper and deeper into the origins of this otherworldly gift. A gift that has travelled from ancient Mediterranean glades to English libraries. Ignoring repeated warnings from the girl's secretive governess, he allows himself to fall under the spell of Sir Edward and his silk, but when he learns its true cost, will it be too late to turn back? Probably. If you've read this one, let me know down below. Now, May's theme was Beware the Moon. That month's book was Moonstone by Laura Purcell. I do not have it on my shelf because I sold it, and we'll get into why. But this is the cover from the Locked Library. Beautiful. And this is the normal cover. So you can see they are a little bit different. The sprayed edges on here are very, very pretty. Very, very nice. The only thing that's different between these two is the colouring. And to be honest, I prefer this one. I prefer the one that isn't the special edition cover. And I've had the special edition cover in my hands, and I still prefer that one. But this was a standalone novel of a YA fantasy / fairy tale retelling. Let's get into the blurb, which I'm going to read on Goodreads because I no longer have the book. From award-winning bestseller Laura Purcell comes her YA debut, Moonstone. How can she be a bestseller and it's her debut novel? If it's a bestseller, it's not the same one I read. A sparkling, chilling gothic romance with real bite. Following a scandal at Vauxhall Pleasure Gardens, Camille is sent away to her reclusive godmother, who keeps a strict watch over her and her own sickly daughter Lucy. Camille must stay away from everything she has known until the scandal is forgotten, keeping strictly to the small farmhouse in the woods. Away from the curiosity and curtsies of polite society, Camille finds herself surprisingly free. She's also strongly drawn to Lucy, a pale, fragile girl who dreams of stars, but has never left the farm. Yet as Camille and Lucy grow close and cross forbidden boundaries, the fine balance of their woodland home begins to... There's words missing in this, it's very annoying. Begins to decline. Death stalks between the trees, claw marks rake the doors, and the moon rises to the song of a creature Camille has never heard before. Camille begins to realise her godmother was holding more than unladylike behaviour at bay. Moonstone is the spooky and seductive new YA. Now we get on to why I don't have it. It has an average rating of 3.3 on Goodreads. My rating for this particular book, if you have seen my review video of it, is a big fat 0. It's a 1 star. If Goodreads had a DNF option, which I think it should do, it would have got that, because I couldn't finish this thing. It was god-awful tripe. It's sort of a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood with a bit of a YA twist, and to be quite frank, the original fairy tale of Little Red Riding Hood is more adult than this retelling of it. Just... It was a bad story. It was just so predictable to be infuriating. And I just couldn't even finish it. I DNF'd at 30% and stuck it on eBay. Now this particular book, the Locked Library edition, is selling on eBay from anywhere from £20 to £30, give or take. I sold my copy for 20. So the box cost me 25. I sold the book for 20. That whole foray for that book cost me £5. My little Yorkshire heart couldn't take it. I was down a fiver and not happy. Because I was so unenamoured with the Locked Library at that point, and that was the last straw at that point, I skipped June's book. Such a dumbass. I saw the theme, I saw the guesses at the book, and I was just sick to death of hearing books about dragons. Every book coming out at that point had dragons in it. And I couldn't be doing with it. The theme for June was Moon-Crossed Lovers, and the book was When the Moon Hatched by Sarah Parker. Now this is a romantasy book, the first in the Moonfall series, and the first Locked Library book, from when I've been starting getting the subscription, to go astronomically viral. Just my luck that it's the only one I have ever skipped. I tell you what, I could have got my £5 back if I hadn't skipped it. So annoyed. So annoyed with myself. Still am annoyed. But not so annoyed that I want to go buy it and read it. Because I still stick by it. It's not something that interests me. It has an average rating of 4 on Goodreads, so it does have the best rating of all the Lock Library books so far. But then again, that is out of, how much is that? 25,000 reviews. Whereas the other ones are lucky if they get, to like 10,000. 25,000 reviews, an average rating of 4. But this book did go viral, and this is the blurb. The creators did not expect their beloved dragons to sail skyward upon their end, to curl into balls just beyond gravity's grip, littering the sky with tombstones, with moons. They certainly did not expect them to fall. As a valued elding blade of the rebellion group, what is that? Feuduath, Jesus Christ. Rave's job is to kill, to complete orders and never get caught. When a renowned bounty hunter is employed by the Crown to capture a member of the Earth, Rave's world is turned upside down. Blood spills, hearts break, and Rave finds herself at the mercy of the Guild of Nobles, a group of jewel-beaded elementals who intend to turn her into a political statement. Only death will set her free. Crushed beneath a mourning weight, Vega? Jeez, I hate reading fantasy names when they don't have a thing at the beginning of the book that tells you how to say them. Took the head of a king and donned his melted crown, Jesus. Now on a tireless quest to assuage the never-ebbing ache in his chest, his hunt for a moon shard lures him into the belly of Gor's notorious prison, where he stumbles upon something that rips apart his perception of reality. A shackled miracle with eyes full of rage and blood on her hands. The echo of the past sings louder than the creators themselves, and even Rave can't ignore the truths blaring at her from a warmer, happier time. However, there's more to the song than meets the eye, and some truths, they're too poisonous to swallow. When the Moon Hatched is a fast-paced fantasy romance for fans of witty banter and strong, sassy protagonists. Beneath the cover is an immersive, vibrant world with mysterious creatures, a unique magic system, and a love that blazes through the ages. It does sound good, but considering all the rest of them that I've got to read, it doesn't sound good enough. But of course, with this book going viral, every book box had this book. You had Fairy Loot. I'm sure there was other ones, but Fairy Loot was the main one, probably just because I'm in the UK. The US probably had their own versions, but this is Fairy Loot's cover, and this is the Lock Library's cover. And the sprayed edges are lovely. They are lovely to look at. But this book was everywhere. If people weren't talking about Fourth Wing or Iron Flame, they were talking about this one. It's just, dragons seemed to be the in thing last year, and it was the one thing that I couldn't stomach reading. And of course, this being a viral book, the Lock Library version is selling on eBay. Now bear in mind that this box costs £25 only. £25 only. That's only how much it costs. And this book is going on eBay for anywhere from £150, that is the lowest you're gonna get, to £500. The regret at skipping this box is unmatched, because I'm so annoyed. It's the only book it's the only book box month I have ever skipped, and it would have got me a return of that much. Now that's how much it is now. At the time, this thing was retailing for over £1,000, and people were buying it. Blows my mind, and I regret everything. So, swiftly moving on, July's theme was growing pains, and the book for July was Bad Graces by Kyrie Macaulay. Now you might remember her because she is the same author that wrote All the Dead Lie Down, which is my favourite cover of 2023. But Bad Graces is a standalone young adult horror fantasy. Like I said, 2023's cover was the best of the lot. I loved every bit of it. If the same artist that did that did this, I'll be very much surprised, because it's I don't know whether it's because that one blew it out of the park so much and this one is just... It's flowers and hands and a cerise pink title. There's no foiling, again, and even the artwork, the only thing that's embossed is the title. There's nothing on the artwork that would show it to this. I would expect this just to be sat in a bookshop, a normal bookshop. Now this is the normal cover of it, and to be honest, if we're going for Witches a special edition, I'd probably go with this one and not this one. This has the blue tint that Twilight does, and this is just a normal cover. And it has the same artwork going onto the back. So it does, the artwork does go all the way around. And on the back, we're teenage girls, Effie said on our first day on the island. We've all been prey before. Sometimes books lean too much into the feminist thing. I hope it doesn't. But the sprayed edges are a blank cover, blank colour, and the same blue wash that's on the front cover of Leaves and Hands, and it does sort of, you can twirl it round and it does go together like that, but it's not wowing me. And this is a very short book compared to the other ones, but considering the width of the previous month's When a Moon Hatched, it's about this big. You're probably going to want a little one after that. Just realised what I said. Filthy lot. But this has an average rating of 3.7 on Goodreads, so I'm leaning more towards it's going to be better than I think it is. And it is selling on eBay from anywhere from £15 to £40, so we are back in the realm of the normal resellable value of these Locked Library special editions with this one. So the blurb for this one is: Liv Whitlock knows she doesn't belong there, but after years of stumbling between foster homes, often due to her own self-destructive tendencies, Liv desperately needs to change the trajectory of her life. So she steals her perfect sister's identity. Liv starts to rewrite her story, winning a prestigious internship on a movie set filming in Alaska, and finds herself on a luxury yacht alongside pop star Paris Grace, actress sisters Effie and Miri Knight, Olympic gymnast Rosalind Torres, and social media influencer Celia Jones. Liv tries to find common ground with her famous companions, but just as the group starts to bond, a violent storm wrecks their vessel, stranding them on an island in the North Pacific Ocean. Among the threats of starvation and exposure, they learn that there is a predator lurking in the forest, unlike anything they've seen before, until they begin to see it in themselves. Every injury they suffer on the island causes inexplicable changes in their bodies. With little hope for rescue and only each other as their final tether to humanity, can the girls endure the ominous forces at work on the island? Or will they lose themselves to their darker natures? Now, August's theme was a blessing and a curse. That could be the tagline for every single subscription box out there. A blessing for the bookshelves, a curse for my wallet. But August's book was The Spice Gate by, oh dear, I'm going to butcher this, something awful, Prashanth Shrivastava. I find it so hard to pronounce names. But this is the front cover of The Spice Gate. It does look beautiful. It's got the silver foiling of the stars which shine. It's got the silver foiling of the title. It's got the artwork from the bottom all the way up to the top. This is how you do it. And this is the spine, so the artwork does go round, and this is the back, and it says, Amir had no choice. He lifted his chin and stepped through, giving himself to the spice god, and as always the great gate tore him apart. Now this is the artwork does, like I said, it goes all the way around. I love when special editions go all the way around. I like how they've done this cover because it is so different to the normal cover. I mean, not just, they haven't just used the same artwork and coloured it differently like they have on most of the other ones, let's be honest. This is a completely different art to this. And the sprayed edges are a block colour, a darker colour, so this is the first time that they've had two different colours. And this is the sprayed edges. Now they are to that side a bit, but not so much as to annoy me. But they are beautiful. So I don't know who's done the art on this book, but I sincerely doubt it's the same artist that's done the rest of them. Because if they have, what the hell have they been playing at for the last few months? Now this is a debut novel. I like when debut novels get to go in book boxes because it must be such an achievement for the author in question. And this is a beautiful edition. And it is a standalone and it is marketed as adult fantasy, which I'll take with a pinch of salt considering the Locked Library's previous offerings. This is the naked hardcover. Every inch of it is used dark blue with silver mountain foiling. I alternate between liking it and disliking it. It reminds me of the cover of a Toblerone bar, which I'll put a picture up there just for reference to anyone watching internationally that doesn't know what that is. But it reminds me of that. And you have the standard spine, but that is a full lot. And inside is artwork, and I mean artwork, proper artwork. And for a start, for the first book in the subscription that I have, it's different on the front than it is on the back. Let's get into the blurb. The spice gates connect the 8 far-flung kingdoms, each separated by a distinct spice and only accessible by those born with a special mark. This is not the mark of distinction, but one of subjugation. Spice carriers suffer the lashes of their rich masters and the jolting pain of passing through the gates themselves. Amir is a spice carrier dreaming of escape, but something is stirring in the inhospitable spaces between the kingdoms. As Amir makes his plan for freedom, he's drawn into a plot that threatens to unravel the power keeping the gates in balance. Gods, assassins and throne keepers all have a vested interest in the spice trade, and Amir will have to decide what kind of world he wants to live in, if the world survives at all. The blurb sounds like it's an adult fantasy, so my expectations are a little bit high than they would be normally. But it has an average rating of 3.4 on Goodreads, so it is straight down the middle of the road, and is selling on eBay for the weirdest window from £8 for this edition all the way up to £50. Either some people really just want to get rid of it, or they don't know how to sell it. I'll soon find out if I read it and I don't like it, because I'll be trying to sell it as well. My eBay will be linked down below because I am shamelessly self-promoting, and if you want to have a look at any of the special editions that I have on my eBay at the minute, I think there are a few, have a look away. Now, September's Locked Library theme was Hexing the Duke, and the book for this was Hex and Hexability by Kate Johnson. Now, this cover is quite, I want to say, it's both bland and fun at the same time, which doesn't make much sense when I say it out loud, but it makes sense when I look at it. Although there's a little bit of foiling, it's sort of muted foiling, so it's not really reflectively shiny. And this cover is exactly the same as this cover, except this cover is purple, this is blue, and the people are up here in the corner on that one, and that one has a sea monster in it, whereas this one doesn't. And on the spine it has a cat and people, and on the back it's a copy of the front, just without the title and without the ivy going like this. And it says, "I would never force you into anything. that bargain was no bargain. But the promise I made to you, magic or no magic, that was real. I will never touch you if you don't want me to. And the sprayed edges are block colour, and very, very pretty shaded colour tones with the leaves and the cat playing in the leaves. It's very, very pretty. I do like the edges on this one. And the naked hardcover is cauldron and silver foiling stars. So they could get the foiling on here, but they couldn't do it on the dust jacket. And at least this takes up the whole cover. And it has the standard Lock Library spine on it and nothing. Now inside it just has vines for the artwork. And vines for the artwork. Now I would say that the vines are important to the story because this is the only one from the Lock Library I have actually got through all and read. Now I say it's the only one I've got through and read because I did the first one I started to read was Moonstone and I DNF'd it at 30% and sold it. So this one was the first one I actually finished and yeah, I like it. I like it enough that I've read it and I keep it. But if I remember rightly, the ivy and the leaves and that, they're not really play a big part in it. If they're there at all. And for a strange one for a book box, this is the third book in the series. But it's a bit of a weird series because they're all sort of in the same world, but they don't actually carry on from each other and they're not by the same author. And of course, even looking at the cover, it is a young adult romantasy book. Because of course it is, with the title like this. So this is the blurb for it. Lady Tiffany Worthington has always had a special talent for making the world around her come to life, whether she wants it to or not. But it's only with the arrival of her mysterious great-aunt Esme on the eve of the Battle of Waterloo that she learns she's a witch, and that the magic she's long feared is actually a gift to be embraced. Now as she's exposed to a side of London she never knew existed, one with sea creatures, magical portals, time travel and a handsome duke with a dashing scar that makes him look like a pirate, Lady Tiffany discovers that despite what the Ton might decree, there is no limit to what she can do or who she can be. Now this is marketed as Bridgerton but with witches. So I knew exactly what this was before picking it up, which probably helped in my rating of it because it's an average rating of 3.6 on Goodreads. Myself, I rated it a 3. Straight down the middle. It wasn't awful and it wasn't great. It was exactly what it says. It's exactly what it was marketed as. And I went in there knowing exactly what it was marketed as, which is probably why it didn't score lower, because I wasn't disappointed. And this is selling on eBay for this Lock Library edition. It's selling anywhere from £15 to £40, which is the standard buying window of the Lock Library books. And now we are into the spooky month. Now you would think that we would get a horror book like we did last year with the Book of Witches, adult horror. This month's theme was Join the Coven. And this month's book was The Bell Witches by Lindsay Kelk. Now, I've heard a lot about this book. A few booktubers have read it and rated it. It seems a little bit of a Marmite book, but with more leaning towards the fact that they love it rather than they hate it. But the cover doesn't wow me because it's matte, muted colours. The only foiling is the title and some stars around the crown here, which I don't know whether the light will catch it. Now the artwork, it is nice, it's a very pretty. Is it a special edition? To my mind, no. This is the spine, not much to write home about. This is the back, and it does have foiling on the back with the stars again, and in there it says, "You are a bell witch. Nothing and no one can hurt you now," which is in more foiling. So there's actually, it seems to be more foiling on the back than there is on the front, which is a strange choice. But with the spread edges we have block black and block black, and this. Now the sprayed edges are really, really nice. It's very, very busy. All sorts of butterflies and moths and things on here. No crows or ravens or whatever the fuck it is. But the sprayed edges, very, very busy, very, very pretty. A lot more colourful than the cover. And then we get onto the cover. So this is the special edition cover. This is the normal Waterstones cover. The only difference is the border colour. And I think that that one has more going for it, because the sort of a muted purple colour, the colours, it looks more autumn, and the autumn colours really, really pop, whereas this, it looks a bit more muted. It's a bit more, you know, like spring, but spring's not awake yet. Yeah, I prefer this cover than I do this one. And if this one's supposed to be at night, like this one, then I'm not so keen on this cover compared to this one. Now this is a standalone novel. It is a young adult fantasy, because it is the Lot Library. Of course it's young adult fantasy. Let's get into the blurb. There's no bond greater than magic. After Emily's father tragically dies, she is forced to live with the only family she has left, an aunt and grandmother in the heart of Savannah, Georgia, in a house as beautiful as it is mysterious. But all is not what it seems with the Bell family. They are hiding a magical secret. When Emily meets the alluring Wynne, she forms a connection that feels like it was always meant to be. As the spark between them grows more powerful, her life takes an exhilarating and terrifying turn. But every step closer to him takes her a step further away from her family. Emily will soon find out that blood is always thicker than water. It sounds interesting. No wonder people were reading it all over the place. And this is the naked hardcover. It is the first time they've done green on a naked hardcover. They usually either go for blue or black. And it is green with sort of a golden bronze foiling. And it is a nicer cover than this. If they'd put the moth front and centre on the cover, it would at least make it a bit different to the normal cover. And a bit more special. But inside we do have artwork, but it's more encyclopedia artwork. And I'm not enamoured. I'm not enamoured with it. Now on Goodreads it does have an average rating of 3.7, so I'm assuming that it is quite a good book. I could be going in with my expectations a little bit too high, but we'll see. And this is selling on eBay because it shows how popular it is. It is selling from anywhere from £35 up all the way up to £70. Cha-ching! Because it's a popular book. I think Fairy Loot did a special edition of this. If they did, I'll find it. So I know somebody did a special edition of this book that probably puts this one to shame. And now we are on to the last book of the year, being November's, because I stopped my subscription before December because the December book just didn't interest me one bit, and by November I was done with them as a subscription box. They annoyed me a little bit too much. But November's theme was Let the Games Begin. And whenever I say that, I feel like Claudia Winkleman from The Traitors. If you don't know what The Traitors are, it's a UK programme. People have to find out who's a traitor, who's a faithful. I am obsessed. But the book for November was The Ancient's Game by Laurie Crittenden. This book, this edition, sums up everything about the Lot Library that I was just done with. Because this is the front cover. There is a little bit of coppery distressed foiling around on here. It's not hard. I mean, it's hardly anywhere. You've got a whole lot of nothing on the back, and I am sick of the sight of the barcodes. There is no point to having barcodes on a special edition subscription book box. None of the other ones have it. Just this lot. And on the back it says, because I believe you to be uncommonly brilliant, Kellen... Oh dear God. Kellen Ducuvier... Oh Jesus. And brilliance mustn't go to waste. Brilliance sure went to waste in the design of this thing. The edges are a bright orange, and then what the hell is this? It's different shades of orange, and it's sort of I'm assuming it's supposed to be artistically orange and smoky fire. But it's lazy and dull, and it doesn't pop, and it's just boring. You can't have a special edition book having boring sprayed edges and a boring cover. You can tell why I stopped my subscription. But it is one of the only covers that is completely different to the normal cover, and to be honest, I prefer that cover. If that was the normal and that was the special edition, you could do so much foiling and prettiness on that, because this, it just hasn't realised it. And on the hardcover, it is just this. Is your world broken, little thing? Somebody's going to get broken. The foiling's pretty, as it's shiny, but the actual, what that is, what is it? It's just a sort of thing. It's a thing, it's a shape, which tells nothing to me. You do have the usual spine and nothing on the back, and inside the edges it's an actual map, which is fantastic, because I like a map, and they've actually put artwork on the end pages. It might as well be the last one I get that actually gives me what I want. And it is exactly the same on the back. And this is a debut young adult fantasy. Obviously it's young adult, it's got Hunger Games written all over it. But this is the blurb for it. The city of Riz is crumbling. Riz. It doesn't even have any. Kellen will do anything to save the ones she loves. 16-year-old Kellen de Cuvier, Jesus, is the descendant of traitors. Oh, traitors. She never knew her family or which one of them betrayed the Isle of Nansu. Like all people of her class orphaned after the war, Kellen is forbidden from carving magic into metal, a trade known as makecraft. But Kellen has a secret. In the wake of a tragic miscarve, she's been helping her adoptive father Edgar run his celebrated make shop. With Edgar's condition worsening, his shop is on the brink of ruin. To save them both, Kellen strikes a dangerous deal. She must compete against the nation's elite for a coveted spot as a maker's apprentice. But danger lurks at every turn. As Kellen grows closer to the illegitimate son of one of Nansu's most revered families, something sinister begins targeting the competitors. Amid a crumbling city and a ticking clock, winning won't just be a test of survival, it will mean uncovering the shrouded legacies of Nansu itself. It sounds interesting enough, but it also sounds like it could potentially chuck itself off a cliff and me with it. Now, another thing that doesn't fill me full of confidence is the rating for this is 3.3 on average on Goodreads at the time of recording this. I think because it got to the end of the subscription and I'm just done with them, that I'm done with this. Now, this is selling on eBay, this particular edition is selling on eBay, boring spread edges and all, for anywhere from £15 to £30, the general window of what you can get. Now, with me saying that this subscription is over, you would think that we were done, but no, we're not, because last year the Locked Library actually opened up a little shop on their website just for one book, and its predecessor. So before I was a Locked Library subscriber, one of the books in the book box was The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. And this came out a few months before I even started the subscription back in 2023. So when the second one was announced, the Locked Library did not put this in a book box, they put it on sale, and you could buy a second edition of the first one to match the set. And because I wanted the first one and the second one, I might as well get them looking pretty. So this is adult fantasy and I love the cover. Love the spine, love the back, and this is a chunky weighty book. And it says, all books, no matter their binding, will fall to dust. The stories they carry may last longer. They might outlive the paper, the library, even the language in which they were first written. The greatest story can reach the stars. And there's silver foiling for the stars, and the edges is green, orange, and books. Now the foiling isn't the best on the hardcover, but it says the greatest stories can reach the stars, which is one of the quotes used on the back, and it is silver foiling and it does have the locked library spine. This is the edition, and it does have end paper artwork, lovely end paper artwork, and the same on the back. Now this is the edition, is what came in the book box before, so they didn't change anything, they just sent it for a reprint. And this is the second one, The Book That Broke the World. It is like half the size of it, but the cover is just beautiful. It has more foiling on this than it does on some of the other ones that are in the monthly book box. Make it make sense. And this naked hardcover does match the first one, with the, except for where that was silver, this is gold, and it says, we fight for the people we love. And it does have the locked library spine and nothing there. And it does have different artwork. I mean, look at this. They've put more effort into this book, or this set, than they have with some of the other ones. Now I can only think that they've put so much effort into these. Effort into this one because they knew it was going to be a seller. A lot more effort into this one because it was going to go with this one and generate them a lot more money than probably the monthly boxes do. The demand was going to be higher, so they poured more money into it. Which from a business perspective I get, but from a consumer perspective, what do you mean you're just going to give us a load of months of generic special editions and then put a fantastic one, a proper one, in the shop and only have a certain window for people to buy it, whether they subscribe or not. Now, I have, like I said, I have cancelled the subscription, so I will not be on the first list to get the third one that's coming out this year, so hopefully I'll be able to snag an edition. If I don't, I will probably be able to find it on eBay, but the only problem with that is that these editions have such a high rating on Goodreads of 4 each, and the editions are so pretty, so beautiful, that these editions separately or together are selling anywhere from £90. Remember, the book box is £25. They're selling for anywhere from £90 to £300. So my chances of getting the special edition to complete this trilogy will be a very small window when the sale goes live, or I'll be able to snag one on eBay, but I am not paying over 40 quid for one. I'm just saying, I would rather have a normal edition than pay out of pocket for something that I haven't started reading yet, so I might not even like them. But they are so pretty. And now we are into our rating. Now this is where I would usually rate books that I've read, but because I have only read one of them and DNF'd another one and sold it, I didn't think that was quite fair, so we're not doing that. But we are going with the worst and the best, as we have done in the previous video. So the book with the worst dust jacket is this one. Now yes, I said I liked it, it was fun, but to me, if I put them all in a row, this would be the one at the far end. It's too alike to the normal one for my liking, and it's just muted and a bit dull. And I just feel that a lot more could have been done with it, considering the story, and it was just a bit eh. There's no other way to describe it other than eh. Now, the one with the best dust jacket is The Book That Broke the World, because my god, the detail on this cover is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Compared to all the rest, it can't be the same artist that did the rest of them. The artist is credited as being someone called Tom Roberts, and on all the other ones, the artists are not credited. So I'm assuming they outsourced it to get something this good. But I love everything about it. Absolutely beautiful. Now, the one with the worst naked hardcover is The Book That Broke the World. The one with the best dust jacket has the worst hardcover artwork because it isn't artwork really, is it? It's a few gold foiling stars and a book quote. Compared to the rest of them, it's not giving that power factor that the other ones do. Now, the book with the best naked hardcover. There can be only one. Babel. Because I'm sorry, but the other bit, because this doesn't have a dust jacket, it really has to pick it up on the hardcover. And my God, does it shoot it out of the park. It's just beautiful. And I love looking at it. Now, the book with the worst internal artwork. Can you take a guess? The Silence Factory. Because what the hell is this for a special edition internal artwork? It's a whole lot of nothing. It's generic, boring. Little to no imagination has gone into this at all. Now the book with the best internal artwork. The Book That Wouldn't Burn. Because I love a library. Books on a shelf. Beautiful. I love the detail. I love the stars, which are a copy of some of the foiling ones on the back. I love the colours. I just love everything about it. Now the one with the worst sprayed edges, and you can probably guess what that one's going to be. The Ancients Game. Because what the fuck? I really don't need to say anything. I mean, you all have eyes and can see this thing. There is nothing special about it. And the best sprayed edges of 2024 has to be Babel. Because there's so much detail, so much thought, and it looks so good. I mean, there are other ones that looked so good, but this one is the best, in my opinion. So that is our Locked Library wrap up for 2024. There won't be one in 2025, so let me know your thoughts on the books discussed down in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you want more bookish, pretty books, and keep reading.